I titled the talk, Weathering the Storm, Tools for Difficult Times. And this came straight out of unity.org's website, our Unity Worldwide Ministries resources. And it just felt like it was so appropriate to talk to you about today, because I still feel that this week we have been trying to navigate through some storms. I know that for me, I still find myself like shocked as I would drive home at night and all of a sudden realizing, it's past curfew. Another thing I'm not used to. You know, I also found myself getting really angry at this coronavirus and all of these protests and all of the news media showing the anger in people and very little focusing on the positive things that are also on the screens, but they just don't post it very often, of the love that is happening in communities, that, you know, not all policemen are bad. So it's really, there was a time when I guess I was in my 20s or 30s, and most of you have heard me tell you, I grew up Catholic, and I love that I have those teachings. It taught me ritual. It taught me about community. It taught me about God. It taught me about Jesus. But there was a situation that happened for me personally with a priest, and it had to do with many of the stories that are said about priests and priests being arrested for those types of behaviors. And I had a personal situation with that. So I found myself I'm not kidding, 20 years. If I saw a priest on the street, I knew he was a perpetrator. I just knew it. I judged every priest from then on just by seeing him on the street. So when I watch the news and I watch what's happening and I watch what happens in myself, you know, I've been talking to you a lot about you spot it, you got it. So when I make a judgment on a person of color, when I make a judgment on a police officer, I have to look at myself and say, I remember when I did that with priests. I had to do a lot of work and a lot of counseling to get myself through that prejudgment, labeling somebody I didn't even know. But because they had a priest habit on, I judged them. So there's still peace in me as I watch the news, as I watch two police officers push that 75-year-old guy down on the sidewalk, you know, and immediately there's the ego part of me makes a label judgment that quick, you know. So how do we manage this? How do we manage this to stay in peace, non-judgment, and not label people? We're all individuals, and we all were born perfect children of God. What happens after birth? I can't control that in other people. I can only control what happened after my birth and my childhood and my rearing, and then the tragedies and traumas that happened. They all were part of make who I am today. And it's true for every single one of you. None of you escape that. You are who you are today as a result of the moment you were born till today. You are who you are as a result of all of those dots leading up to today. So this is a thank you, God moment. No matter what has happened, Thank you, God. So, it goes on unity.org site, and we're going to be sharing that site with you at the end of this talk so that you can go out there. Unity has multiple avenues and multiple resources for when you are dropping down, when you are afraid, when you are depressed, when you are anxious, when you are fearful. Whatever that negative emotion is, we all experience them in the course of a day. When you're feeling that way, you go to this site, and I'm telling you, there will be videos. There will be small resource articles. There will be Unity FM. There will be meditations, multiple, on just this one link that we're going to share to you. So whether you pick it up and use it, it's up to you. But that's what I love about Unity. We are an education resource center, and you get to do with it what you want. So the high stress, like I said, is not only from this coronavirus that we have been going through for what now, 3 months at least, but it's everything that's been taking place this past week since the murder of George Floyd. We as a collective consciousness are experiencing this stress together. It is important for us to prioritize mental and spiritual health as best we can. I'm going to repeat that. It is important for us to prioritize mental and spiritual health as best we can. That means you've got to save a spoon for yourself. And you've got to put your mental and spiritual health as a priority. I'm experiencing that for myself just over the last 48 hours. And I may share a little bit more of that with you in a little bit. But I just want to tell you that how do I do that, right? How do you do that? You listen to Unity ministers and their talks and their meditations, and you go to unity.org, and there's a plethora of support to help you put your mental and spiritual self first as a priority. How can I see events, all of these events, the political arena, oh my gosh, it's just everywhere, isn't it? Name a topic and it is just everywhere. How can we see this kind of stuff through spiritual eyes? Well, for those of you who like to take notes, I'd say get a pen and paper. Or I would also tell you that you'll be able to hear this talk again. But there are 10 steps to help us see through spiritual eyes in spite of all of the appearances of negative events going on. Number 1, beware of spiritual bypass. What the heck is spiritual bypass? Well, many of you have heard me say that that's metaphysical malpractice, okay? Beware of spiritual bypass is an example. I'm just not going to turn on any news or Facebook. I am just going to live in my little home around my little yard, and I'm going to shut everything else off. Now, that's not a bad idea, so you can get disengaged. Then do your spiritual work, your spiritual practices, because what Unity teaches you is you don't want to not be informed, okay? But the key is you don't want the information to own you. There's where we make the mistake. We allow that to hook us and we go join the camp of fear and anxiousness and depression because we've allowed that whatever we watched to hook us instead of okay, that just happened. What is mine to do? We're going to get into that more. So often I will say, turn off the news because you just need to hear it once. The news is famous for looping, loop. One broadcast will share the same story minimum 3 to 5 times, the same dramatic video 5 to 10 times. Do you hear that? So no wonder what's going in your subconscious. You only need to watch it or hear it once. Take in the information. What's yours to do? Number one, what is yours to do when you hear that kind of stuff? Pray. That's to pause and pray. Not move into action, not move into reaction. It's to pause and to pray. That's yours to do. Okay, number 2 of how do we help see through spiritual eyes in the face of these negative events. Words have power. That's number 2. Words have power. Stop labeling good or bad. That's a hard one. Stop labeling things good or bad. What we call bad is usually our greatest teacher if we choose to look within. Can you own that? What we call bad is usually our greatest teacher if we choose to own that. These are some, this is not an easy 10-step process here. Just like the 12 steppers, including me out there. Those 12 steps are not easy, but they change your life. Number 3, stay grounded. Don't allow fear to control your life. Ask yourself, I like this. Ask yourself, where are my feet? So when you start to get hooked, you start to get ramped up with what's going on, stop very quickly and ask yourself, where are my feet? Well, for me, they're right here in the sanctuary. That's just enough to stop that mind from going down the rabbit hole and get in the present moment. So ask yourself, where are my feet? And it will bring you to be in the present moment. Number 4, get the facts. Just because somebody says it, or somebody posts it, or the news says it, does not make it true. So get the facts before you judge it, before you spread it, before you call it good or bad. Get the facts. And this is by Ellen Davenport. I think most of this article that I'm drawing off of. I love her suggestion. And she says, just, when you see a post or you see it or hear it, respond either to yourself or even out loud. Isn't that interesting? Instead of going this, oh, I can't believe it. Oh my God. Isn't that interesting? It'll help you neutralize by saying just those few words. It'll help you neutralize so that you can go within and do your work. Number 5 is focus on ultimate goals. Look past appearances and keep your eye on the prize. That statement comes from, I believe, in the Oh gosh, back in Martin Luther King with the protests that were going on. Keep your eyes on the prize. All of us want peace. We all want prosperity. We all want health care and an education system that works for all. We all have the same prize in mind. How we go about getting there is where the differences happen. So when the differences are showing up, keep your eyes on the prize. Where are you? What's the ultimate goal that you want? Number 6 is, what can you learn? Oh boy, you're going to get sick and tired of hearing me say this. What can you learn? If you spot it, you got it. That's how you can learn, is if you're spotting it. The biggest learning opportunity is to take it and bring it right back at yourself. That's the biggest teacher the world is giving us as individuals, is to own, what do I have that in me? I'll tell you, I'm reading this healing, the racial healing book that we're going to start, and it is really making me look at me and the memes that I have picked up since childhood. So am I willing to look at, maybe I don't do it so much now, but I did at some point in my life, whatever that is, whatever the story is that you're telling yourself. Are you willing to look? Okay, that's what can you learn? Are you willing to look at what's going on out there? What can I learn within me? Number 7 is, what can you be for? Uh-oh, I left it sitting on the pew. I'll be right back. Hello. What can you be for? I want to read this to you. It says, take action when you feel guided and inspired. Too often, activism stems from anger. The actions we take are actually reactions against whatever we perceive as wrong or bad. If we come from a state of resistance, we only generate more conflict. Align with spirit, the universe, life, a force for good, whatever you want to call it, before deciding what to do. Align with spirit before deciding what to do. Don't be afraid to pray. To pray this. Ask this question: Dear God, what is mine to do? The answer might not be to march in the streets or write a tirade online. It might be to rear compassionate children. It might be to volunteer in your community or church. We each have different gifts, and every contribution matters. You don't have to save the world, Mother Teresa said. Don't look for big things. Just do small things with great love. I love that woman. So, number 7 is, what can you be for? Another thing Mother Teresa said, and I say this a lot, so hopefully you know it, and by heart now. When asked to speak at an anti-war rally, she said, I will have no part of speaking about what I am against. If you ask me to speak for peace and what I am for, I will be there. I will not be speaking about anything I am against. Wise, wise words. All right, number 8. Take an even bigger step. Take an even bigger step. This is out of the Bible, John 4:18. There is no fear in love, but perfect love casts out fear. For fear has to do with punishment. And whoever fears has not reached perfection in love. That's worth repeating. There is no fear in love. But perfect love casts out fear, for fear has to do with punishment. And whoever fears has not reached perfection in love. Could we release fear and substitute love? Could you? Would you? Number 9, you are part of a bigger picture. I love what she says here. And we've been talking about this too. We are in transformation. This is good news. Transformation doesn't mean there's not pain, struggle, injustice. Okay? Transformation is going to include all of that. Go to Joseph Campbell and look at the wheel of life's journey. And there is always going to be the struggle as you move to the transformation. You know, she says in this article, we are growing up as a human species. And she likens it to, we are all probably in our teenage state. We're just a bunch of teenagers. And when we get mad and we pout, and I mean, it was just like, oh my gosh, this makes so much sense. You know, we're a bunch of teenagers, and she says, we consider ourselves, oh, I can relate to this, whoever raised kids. We consider ourselves independent until something goes wrong. Then we're looking for a rescue. But don't you also see the brilliant flashes of wisdom and intuition in teenagers? Isn't that true? I know my kids, man, they were all about, you can't tell me what to do. You can't tell me what to do, but let their car get stranded on the side of the road. And who's the first one they're calling? Right? Yeah. And that's what we are. Think about how we're all acting as adults right now on this planet. We're all about rah, 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 until there's a problem, a big problem, and then we're trying to find somebody to rescue us out of this. I thought that was a really good one. Number 10, this is the final step in how can we see events through spiritual eyes. Number 10 is every thought counts. Oh boy, that's principle number 3 of our 5 unity principles. Thoughts in mind produce of their kind. Every thought counts. Eric Butterworth, out of the book called Practical Metaphysics, says the important key to effective living is not trying to find the way to set things right and to straighten people out and to get the world to stop acting like it does. It's not to see things right, but to see them rightly. Some of you people who have been around unity for a long time, this has been a long-standing statement. Not to see things right, but to see them rightly from a higher perspective. So if we were going to do a meditation again, I would probably ask you to go high above the universe and look down at our whole planet and see what's going on from that higher perspective, because that's where we see it rightly. When we are here, right in the crux of it, this is where we want to make it right. We want to make you right. We want to make them right. We want to make them act right. When we get up here, we can see it rightly. There's a Jesuit priest, and I hope I pronounce his name. I always have a hard time saying this. Pierre Teilhard de Chardin. He says, there is this thing called a neosphere, and that is the thinking layer of the earth, the neosphere. It contains every thought that anybody has ever had, and it determines our collective experience. Can you imagine? This is what Charles Fillmore would often refer to as a race consciousness. And you energy workers out there know exactly what I'm talking about here. That there is an energy field, and it is created, yes, by words, but most importantly, thought. Every thought we have creates a feeling, and every feeling creates a vibration out there into our world, into this invisible realm that we think is just nothing out there. Every single thought has a feeling, and it sits in the noosphere. I love that because it really makes me responsible for what is my little minuscule part of the universe and our human consciousness. Whew. I just gave you a lot of information today. I want to just go back. How can we do this differently? You want me to just name those real quick for you? I'm going to name them real quick. And then if you want to hit back to them, great. And if you want to look at the link that we'll share at the end of this, wonderful. So you've got number 1, beware of spiritual bypass. Number 2, words have power. 3, stay grounded. 4, get the facts. Number 5, focus on ultimate goals. Let's focus on the prize. Number 6, what can you learn? Maybe I should just put, what can I learn? Number 7, what can you be for? Number 8, take an even bigger step. This is stretch, release the fear and move to love. Number 9 is you are a part of the bigger picture. This is the whole part about the transformation piece I was talking to you about. And number 10, every single thought counts. Every single thought. So be careful what you're thinking. Oh, but I don't say it. But if you're thinking it, you're feeling it, and it's going out into the vibration of the world. And it has an effect on the human whole consciousness of our planet. I think I want to close today with our affirmation that we said for ourselves, because I think it is so important that, we said that I stand with my brothers and sisters through difficult times. Now, in unity, we see our brothers and sisters as every single living, breathing person on this planet. That means even the people that you've been calling bad or crazy or insane, mean, unfair. Can we stand with all of our brothers and sisters through difficult times? And how do you stand? You stand by taking care, by saving a spoon. By saving a spoon. I'm going to tell you really quick. I've been stretched. I have been stretched. And we are in a good place here at Garden Park. So many things, so many things have been accomplished while we've had the doors closed. Our facility just continues to get better and more beautified. We are such good stewards of our property and our grounds. And I'm so proud to have leadership teams that support that thinking. And in my mind, it's what you do when you have property. You've got to take care of it and maintain it. And we've done that, and we continue to do it. And it's taken a lot of, I'm just going to use it, first response on my part, because that's decisions had to be made. They continue to have to be made. And it's I've given every one of these spoons out, and I realize I've got to grab a spoon back. So I'm going to take off for a few days because we're in good shape. We are moving into opening our doors again, and we've got processes that are moving, and I've got people and leadership and volunteers that are willing to step up and keep us moving in the right direction. And so I got to grab my spoon back because I don't do well with this. And I'm going to need all of you. I am facing back surgery, and I don't know when that's going to happen, but I've asked them to get me in as soon as they can. And I'm going to need you all. I'm going to need all of you and your support and your love for this community. So I have to grab a spoon back if I want to heal and focus on my healing, focus on being as strong and healed as possible before I go into surgery. Not wait until afterwards. I'm going to be proactive. But I'm just so grateful for this community because this teaching has saved my life for 28 years. And I'm so grateful for these teachings because it does help us lead a different life and navigate around the world that's still going to behave the way it behaves, and it's still going to have negative situations, but we see the bigger picture. Our job is to be the light. Be the light. And you can't be the light if you're out of spoons. So with that, I close and say namaste. That the Christ in me truly sees and honors that Christ's presence in each and every one of you